I think the most important tool that you have is to quiet yourself and follow your intuition. Most often, you
Yeah.
know in your heart what you need and what your child needs.
Yeah. Hey ladies, and welcome back to Bonjour Babies channel. Today I'm chatting with Jeanne-Marie Paynel, a positive parenting and Montessori expert. I'm so happy to have her on the show. Her experience is invaluable, and I'm sure you will get a lot out of this episode. We are going to talk about becoming parents, and she will give you some super useful tips to go from I don't know what the hell I'm doing to I've got this. I know I have been prepared for that. I am confident. Jeanne-Marie is a mom of two and she lives in San Diego. She has developed this passion for taking care of babies and younger children since her childhood. She's the host of the Art of Parenting podcast, where she has conversations with experts on different types of topics, all parenting related. Learning, feeding, communication, but also sexuality, intimacy, and life after baby arrives. During her first pregnancy, she discovered the Montessori method and literally fell in love with it. She will tell you more about it in the following discussion. Then she started developing more resources and support for parents on mindful parenting and positive discipline at home. Today, as I said, we are going to talk about the subject of becoming parents. She will give you some actual and super helpful tips to really help you prepare and dive into parenthood without any false claims or lies. All right, I won't say more and I leave you with our conversation. Welcome to the channel and show, Jeanne-Marie. I am very happy to see you there today. So I already introduced you to our audience just before, but I would like you to explain to them a bit more about what you do. And because I already touched a bit on your experience and the work that you do with the parents out there, but I'd love for you to explain to us a bit more on this. So, let's try to do it briefly because I know it's a wide range for you. But how do you work with parents, and where are these parents in their parenting journey when they come to you?
Okay, so yes, it's a big question, and I'll try to answer it quickly. But basically, I work with parents from about the third trimester of pregnancy, so before birth through the age of 6. For me, the first 6 years of life are the foundation for the rest of our lives. So I really want to empower parents to know that, to have the tools and understanding of child development. And then one of the big things that I do, especially with parents that are expecting, is really help them set up an environment that is going to be welcoming, but most importantly, is really going to help their child adapt to their time, place, and culture with ease. Because we tend to live in very adult-centric environments, and our newborns and our little ones have different needs. So it's just a matter of us understanding that, and also knowing that this is temporary. This is just a very finite moment in time. So to rearrange a few things, to have a different perspective is what I try to give parents.
That's very, very interesting. That's very interesting. It's true that especially at the beginning can be really tricky for some parents to adapt to this new life.
Yes, and I will say my I think my philosophy too is with really empowering parents to have what I call a yes environment, so that they are not constantly stressed out and anxious because their child is going to touch something or get into something and they're constantly saying no. So I want you to live in harmony with your little ones at home. So yes, it's going to be a few little changes, but it's very temporary. So yes.
It's very interesting and it's really
Hmm.
needed. So I
Hmm.
know that you have a podcast. So talk to
Hmm.
us a bit more about that. So where can they find you and what kind of topics do you touch on?
Okay, so my podcast is my brand new latest baby,
Yes.
and that I started a few months ago. It's called The Art of Parenting. And a few years back, I did a lot of interview series, and I realized just how much I loved interviewing and learning from other parenting professionals, mindfulness, all sorts of different areas that I think are all tools that we need when we are parenting. So the art of parenting is really, for me, conversations that I have with other professionals in the realm of parenting, child development, mindfulness, um, body image, screen time. I mean, it's been a wide range. And so I share weekly an interview that I do. And I like to call them more conversations, because for me, I'm learning so much and I'm really having a conversation with another person. Oftentimes they're also parents, so I ask them how that's going for them.
Yeah.
And I always ask them what the definition of the art of parenting is for them. So that is available on all the different podcast platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all of that. Yeah.
Good, perfect. And go check it out because I know it's a really valuable resources, and I like how you see parenting as a holistic thing, not just, like, as you say, saying no to, but like really incorporating like all the aspect of parenting into that. And I
Mm-hmm.
really love that. So go check it out. It's totally worth it. Okay, so now that we know a bit more about what you do, I'd like to talk about your motivation, because I know that you entered the parenting world after another life before, if I can say so. So how did you end up in this world? What made you shift from a career in the advertising industry to a Montessori teaching career, and later on now as becoming a parenting expert?
Well, it's one of those things. I think we all go through a moment in time when we question what we're doing with our lives, and if we are satisfied with our lives, what is the impact that we want to make and such. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was about 43. And we're just a little background. I'm French American. My husband is French, and we live in the US. And at that time, we were kind of debating whether we were going to go back to Europe.
Yeah.
And that's really when you're starting to think about big changes like that. For me, I realized that I didn't necessarily want to continue doing the work that I was doing. And like you say, I was in marketing, advertising, graphic design, all of that. And I really, started thinking, like, what is something that I'm really passionate about that I could transfer that passion into being impactful and really making a difference. And to be honest, I always loved working with children. As young as I can remember, I would find a way to be with the little ones. When my brother was born, I would volunteer at his daycare. Like, it was always something that I was passionate. So I looked into what was the international certification for Montessori, so that I would be able to work in Europe. And lo and behold, there's a international Montessori training center right here in San Diego. And it happened within literally 24 hours, because I called the institute. They said, "Oh, we've already started our course. Do you want to come in tomorrow to meet the director?" And I hung up the phone, and I knew right then and there that my life was going to take a turn. And
Wow.
it did, because that morning I went in, sat in on a first lecture, and I was like, this is where I need to be. This is fascinating. And what I think also really helped me in that is that I already had children. So I had a a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and listening to the lectures was interesting because it was like, oh, I didn't do so bad. I did okay. Like this is all making sense. Like my intuitive parenting actually was, what was right on. And it just became a passion. So I actually went back to work that morning, gave my notice, and went back to school to do my master's in Montessori education. I later did another training. And like you say, the whole parenting thing is that I think because I was already a parent, I was an older teacher.
Yeah.
Parents were constantly asking me questions, and you realize that parents need a lot of support. Like we don't have a manual, we don't have an instruction booklet that goes with our newborn, and there's a lot, like you say, it's very holistic. There's a lot to consider, and so that's really where I changed my perspective, realizing that parents, because the children that were coming in the classroom are fine, like they're great, children are amazing. It's the parents that are like, sometimes kind of getting in the way and just needing more support. So that's really why I shifted and went back actually and did a birth to 3 certification to really help them through the pregnancy, the preparation, and then really, helping them through those first 6 years.
Yeah, and that's really much needed. That's exactly what I see with my clients during their pregnancy. There is a lot of unknown, unspoken, maybe, I don't know, but and they are looking for more resources, not telling them what to do, but just like guidelines of here are some tools that you can use if you struggle, because everybody has his own way of parenting, right? So
yes, and I will say one thing to that is I think the most important tool that you have is to quiet yourself and follow your intuition, really, because if we become parents, it's something that most often it's something that we're wanting to do. And I think it comes from a place of love. And, sometimes we get so overwhelmed with the noise all around us and, oh no, you should do this and you should do that and all this, that at some point we need to go, okay, wait a minute here. This is me. This is my child. I'm bringing to the table my own experience, and this is, my opportunity to evolve and so forth. So yes, there's a lot of beautiful tools out there, and I'm one of them, but I always go back to, how do you feel about this? What is your child telling you? And it's really, that to me is really something important that I try to emphasize, is observation, really observing our children and observing ourselves with no judgment, with really just that scientific observation. And then knowing, having a little bit of guidance as to human development in general. Why does a child before 3 act like this and a child after 3 act like that, and so forth. But most often, you know in your heart what you need and what your child needs.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very interesting, and I love that. I love the message that you're giving. And it's very important for parents to listen to that, because there is a lot of questioning, but they have all the answers, as you said.
And I think with social media and all this, it's emphasized even more, because we're constantly looking and comparing, and they do this and look at their house and all this. It's like, forget all of that. Like, this is you. You get to do you, and that's it.
Exactly. So, we're gonna come back on that. I have a good question on that. Okay. So, but yeah, I love knowing your story too. It's a great epiphany moment that you had. Like, yes, this is what I want to do. I love that, and I love knowing like the background story behind it. That's very, very interesting. Okay, so now let's dive into more our subjects. I believe you have some actionable tips for us to help our community to
on how really to prepare for being and becoming parents and becoming that family. So let's dive a little more into this. So I know a lot of parents have sometimes real trouble adjusting to this new life. As we said, it can be like very intimidating for some, and some are really struggling. So coming back home with a new baby, either it's your first one or not, a new member of the family, because it's really what it is, that you don't know yet, even though you had for the mom those 9 months together, but it's somebody else. It can be a real challenge for some. So let's talk first from the couple's point of view. So the new family. So do parents need to have certain expectations that they might not, realize they will have when they have a baby? So talk to us about the most common challenges that a couple face when they have a baby.
So, there's a lot in that question. I mean, for me, first of all, it's really important for the couple or the mother, really the birthing mother, to really take time to do a bit of research and to know what her options are for birthing.
Yeah.
Okay. You are in control. You are mighty, mighty powerful because you are creating another human. So do not let anybody tell you otherwise, or treat you like you are ill or handicapped or anything like that. Just drives me crazy, because it's like the women who are carrying children are just like, wow.
Yeah.
they're a powerhouse, and yet because of the media, because of the medical and all this, we kind of go, okay, well, I trust you. No, trust your body. Like, do your research and create the birth that you want. Not that you will necessarily get it, but at least you're putting energy and really intent into how you want to welcome this new being, because the birth is really important for both you and the child, and for the relationship that you're going to have with that child forever. So that would be a first thing. And if you have a partner, make sure that you're both on board, that you're talking about it, that you're discussing, that you want to know what he or she, what you need from them. Because, oftentimes we kind of, have an idea of how we want things to happen, but maybe your partner doesn't really want to be in the birthing room with you. Like, that's like, oh no, I don't think I can handle it. So be respectful. So to me, right there is communication is really the key to it all. And then secondly is to create a village around you. And this is for both partners. Yeah. And so that means you, for example, that is helping with the feeling good and healthy during pregnancy. Somebody like myself who can help you in the environment and understanding what parenting is about, a lactation consultant, a doula. Like, there's a whole community around the birthing that is really important to gather those who have been there before you, who have the knowledge and who can support you, because that's how it used to be. We had a village of elders and they were there for us, and now we need to create it.
Yeah.
And thirdly,
in a time like this, I would say, like, especially right now, it's really something that women need to come back to.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though the body knows what to do. I mean, our body knows how to birth anyway, but having this support, having this team that got you back is more important than ever. And it's true in any kind of circumstances anyway. We have to realize that we need more support, definitely.
Exactly. If you're starting out in business, well, you seek out a business coach. If you're redoing a house, you're going to seek out a team of people who can do the work for you. So it's the same thing. Yeah. So your journey into parenting will be much easier if you have a community supporting you, even if you know who is that girlfriend that you can call in the middle of the night because you're anxious that, you don't have enough milk, or that, you want somebody to help you come clean the house, all of that. This is a sacred, sacred time for humanity. So for me, preparing the birth environment, and then really, you were asking about the couple, is really trying to plan as much as possible to have those first 40 days after the birth with nothing on your calendar. You just want to snuggle, sleep, feed your baby, and that is it. You need that time to recuperate physically, emotionally, get yourself ready. Like you say, get to know your baby, and the way to get to know is to smell them and snuggle and be close to them. So take everything off your calendar. There is no need to get all dressed up and go out and all this. Like, you've got time for that. So
yes.
that would be for me. It's just like, really take this as a, oops, sorry.
That's fine.
Take this as a pause. Like, this is your opportunity to just, slow down. And really, I think one of the bigger challenges is going to be that exhaustion at the beginning. You've gone through 9 months of carrying another human. I've been pregnant several times, but I have two children. And each time it was really, you feel like your body is on loan to nature, to whatever. So you get your body back, right? and you have to recuperate. You have to recuperate the 9 months. You have to recuperate the birth. Yes. The birth can be amazing, and it is an amazing experience. It can be really hard for some, easy for others. It can be sometimes traumatizing for others. So please take a pause and just like reassess and recuperate, get to know your child. And for me, those first 3 months are really ideal to just lay low. Mm-hmm. And your child is also just getting used to being, earthside. So give them the opportunity to do this slowly. And then for me, what is really, really important in the, you were saying in the partnership, yes, is really communication, is really being okay with asking for help. We tend to think, oh, I've got it, I can do it all. Why? Like, don't. There's people around you that love you, that want only one thing, but to help you. So, ask for meals, ask for cleaning, ask for groceries. Don't be afraid to ask. And for me, the partner's responsibility is to really protect the mother-child dyad, because the newborn needs the mother to feel a sense of security, to feel that they have been welcomed into a good, safe place. It's called trust in the world. Yeah. And really, at the beginning, only the mother can really give that to the newborn. So the father or the partner, really, for me, their role is to really protect that. So, if people want to come over, you can very nicely say, oh, mom and baby are connecting, we'll let you know when you can come over. So I always say, like, Dad, please be the social diplomat to just like, keep everybody so mom can rest, so mom can breastfeed without, feeling stressed out and all of that. So it's a real partnership for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So what you're saying is first planning on whatever the way we want to birth, and maybe like write down a birth plan and communicate with your partner to see if he or she is okay. Because, and I really agree with you, it's so important that it's a team here. It's a team of two, and it's going to be three. So it's very important to make sure that your partner knows what to do too when you're birthing. I always tell my clients that you have some tools on your hand that somebody like myself or yourself give you, but make sure that your partner knows about it, because especially when giving birth, you might forget some stuff or don't think about it, and so your partner can really be empowered as well in the birthing experience. And that is very important too, because he or she will become like, you know, a dad or a mom too. And it's really that very moment for them where it's happening. It's not the same for the person that is carrying the child.
Yes,
So
yes.
first planning and communicating with your partner, then really taking those 40 days after birth. And thank you, amen to that. I love that. I'm like a huge proponent of that.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
And
like,
it's unfortunate because, you know, not all societies or countries will allow that. So that's why, you know, it might mean planning, like it might mean, you know, saving up so you can take, you know, a little leave for a while, because I know, you know, not, especially here in the US, not all companies have maternity leave,
absolutely.
which is outrageous to me, but that's
Yeah.
a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's something else, absolutely. But yeah, if you can do so, really like clearing out the calendar and really taking the time to settle down with baby. And then understanding that you have a village around you and ask for help and don't be shy. You can ask anybody around you, as you say, just like a meal preparation or doing the cleaning, or, you know, or maybe watching the baby for like a few minutes so you can take a shower. Those stuff are really easy to do, and you always will have somebody that will be happy to do it for you. So don't hesitate to ask. I really love that. So we have those 3 points. That's very, very interesting. And so let's say they don't know where they can find resources, like maybe help for doing their birth plan or whatever. Do you know if there are any places where they can look for that type of resources?
So I think, I mean, I don't have one general place, but, you know, within your, first of all, the best are those who have come before you. So your girlfriends, your sisters who have had children, you know, in your community. I live here in San Diego. There is a very, very, very supportive and strong natural birthing community. Yes. So, you know, it's pretty easy to find. Also, you know, doulas, I think it's really important to look into what is a doula and how a doula can help you, because basically it is someone who is really going to support you physically and emotionally through the preparation of the birth, during the birth, and then there are postpartum doulas that can really support you afterwards as well. So that would be, for me, a great source of information. But yeah, like I say, you know, do your research. Like, do you want to have a home birth? Do you want to have a, you know, a hospital birth? Or maybe you didn't know, but there's a birthing center in your community. Or, you know, so it's really just really thinking about it and really dreaming up what your plan is. And I will say one thing about plans, though, birthing plans, which to me is fascinating. And this is actually a birth doula that told me this a while back. Is she said, I have my clients do 3 birth plans, write them out, 3 copies, one they put in their bag, ready to go to the birth center or the hospital, or if they stay at home, one they give to their, you know, health provider, and the other one they burn. Because a birth plan, you can't be too strict about it.
Yes, thank you.
You know, the baby might have a different agenda. So you really have to be okay with surrendering to what needs to happen, because birthing is a partnership with you and your child. So it's something that you do together. So
absolutely.
Be talking to your baby while you're pregnant about, you know, the experience that you want, and let them know what your plan is and all this, but also surrender, because you don't know what could happen. You know, at the last minute, they decide to go turn around or something. And so at some point you have to trust also the team that you have around you. They have your best interest in mind. So at some point, you know, you have to surrender to that.
Yeah,
so.
I love that. I personally very agree with that. In my practice, when I was treating in pregnancy osteopathy, we were really talking about that. Yes, having a plan is good because you have some guidelines and you got to make some choices, and that's interesting, as we just said. But you have to be prepared for whatever could happen too, because
Exactly.
it's the child that decides everything. You have no control about what's going to happen. Communicating during the pregnancy is very important too. I'm a true believer of that, really explaining your baby, your intentions and what you want. And maybe he or she won't agree, and so you have to adapt. And that's it. So yes, being prepared to surrender, it's exactly the good thing to tell, definitely.
And I love what you said about that it's baby that's deciding, because I always say when moms are getting kind of impatient or all this, I said they're prepping themselves, they're doing their mani-pedi, and they will let you know when they're ready to meet you. So. And that to me is respecting also the natural development. Like, I have a real hard time with the whole induction, for example, unless of course there's we know that there's a big medical thing, but most often time there isn't. It's more scheduling and all of this, and it for me it always kind of brings this cycle of intervention that we don't really want to have.
I really agree with you. And it's something that varies from country to country. Some countries, they are, like willing to let the woman being pregnant like 2 weeks more. Some it's just a few days. It completely varies country to country. So just means that it's a matter of planning with the hospital.
And when I said earlier, like, do your research, depending on where you would imagine giving birth, also do your research, like at the different hospitals. What is their C-section rate? What is their intervention rate? Like, it will differ from hospital to hospital, from OBGYN to OBGYN. Like, be mindful and look into that so that you're not surprised the day of.
That's a very good recommendation. Okay, that's very, very valuable, and they have like already 3 good tips, so I love that. So to continue on the topic, even if, as we said, we are 2 in this journey as a couple, a partnership, as you were saying. I love that. I feel like there are maybe some internal challenges too that both mom and the other partner can go through. So first we'll talk about the mom point of view. So I truly believe that we become a mother. It's a learning experience. It's not always something that we are all born with. For some women, they may struggle to position themselves as moms. And I feel like, as you were saying before, that with all the social media now and the pressure, there's this pressure of, be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, an accomplished woman in their career, or whatever they want to do. But the reality, the struggle that you can go through after giving birth is well hidden. We begin to talk about it more nowadays, and that's good, but it's still not enough, I feel. And so, and we still have mothers coming to you, coming to me, worried about what they're experiencing internally, if it's normal or not, and how long it's going to last. And, so I think we need to do a better job at addressing more this internal struggle that a mom could go through, rather than projecting, this, you always have to be a perfect one. To the world, right? So I think you and I should talk a bit more about that, about this internal struggle they may come across. It's not something that 100% of the moms will experience. We have moms that are perfectly fine, but it's also a reality for some, right? So again, is there anything they should be expecting, preparing themselves from the get-go, from the moment they become a mom?
So I think, first of all, you become a mom at a conception, right? So your whole body is, like I said, it's on loan for somebody else. You're creating another human being.
Yes.
That can bring up a whole lot of emotions. I mean, I personally, I remember, and this is, 23 years ago, I remember going like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? Like, this is gross, because I had morning sickness. I didn't feel right. It's like, what have I done? So, but that is perfectly normal. So I think it's really, really important to reassure mothers and fathers that doubt and concern and anxiety and all that are normal to be experiencing. What is not normal is when we start having more really dark thoughts about hurting ourselves, hurting our babies, and all this. And this happens, unfortunately. I think it's 1 out of 6 women will experience postpartum, some sort of what is it? Now there's a new name for it, is perinatal mood disorder, I think. There's a new terminology for all of that, because there's a lot of different kind of mental things that come in play. So it can be really anxious. Like, I can't imagine right now, the time that you're doing this interview, we are experiencing a global pandemic. And I cannot, the women who are having to give birth right now, it can be so stressful, because you're afraid of the germs. You've got all these people with masks on, everything. So that kind of, changes all of that. So for me here, what is really important is, again, what I said earlier, is really open communication. Do not keep things to yourself. Even if you think like, oh my gosh, I'm crazy to be thinking this, say it out loud, journal it, share it with your partner, seek out help, a therapist, all this. And here, in the US, there's PSI, oh my gosh, I don't know what it stands for, but it's postpartum something international. I will give you the link, but great resource. I used to be a warm line, people can call in, and it's really about letting them know that they are not alone, that help is here, and that they will get better. Because it is, it's, we go through a lot, there's all these hormones that are coming in play and all of this. So we have to we have to kind of surrender to, okay, do what you need to do. I want a healthy baby. But it kind of takes over us. So, nutrition is very important. Exercising, like you do, and all this, and then just being very gentle with ourselves. At the beginning of pregnancy, for example, we're oftentimes exhausted. We don't feel well. We kind of have this nausea. That's actually purposeful. That's actually nature telling you, slow down. You're creating another brain, another heart, internal organs. So why don't you just slow down, put your feet up, and relax? So that's nature telling you, don't fight it. That's the thing. Like you say, we want to have this perfect image. Well, I'm sorry to break it to all of you listening, but there is no such thing as a perfect mother. And there is no such thing as a perfect child. You will be gifted the child that you need to do the growth and the self-development that you need to do, and you gotta go with the flow, and like I said earlier, ask for help, ask for support, because it is a big time. And to be also very, very vigilant of your partner. Because men also go through, different mental stressors during this time.
We're going to come back to that after.
So just being, I think to me that the bigger one is just communication, open communication, and being okay to say, what, it's like, I feel gross, and why did I do this? Like, say it out loud. It's okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Asking
Yeah.
for help. Don't be
Yeah.
shy to communicate. That's very, very
Yeah.
important. And
I
expecting it
yeah.
too, it's good, I think. Yeah.
And I always, especially for parents of younger children who I work a lot with, is we get into this role of caregiver where we're constantly making sure that everybody has what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've got, mothers are amazing at multitasking,
Yes.
right? But we tend to forget the one question that I think is the most important is, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
And so this is important to ask it from, conception through the pregnancy, through life.
Yeah.
What do I need right now? And being okay with giving it to yourself or asking for support.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. What do I need right now? That's a good thing. Because especially in this first months, as you said, the exhaustion is setting in. And you want to take care of the baby, and it's like a 24-hour job, basically, especially in those first days. So what do I need right now? That's a very good question. I love that. Taking the time to give yourself some time maybe, and asking for help for like maybe an hour a day, and definitely I really love that. And expecting that, be prepared to ask for help. Because I think in our society, and especially as women now, we tend to um, want to do it all, that we're like superwoman, and we can do it all. But yeah, just relax, take the time. And
Yeah, and that's, that again is to me the whole media and maybe, kind of a feminism where we want to have equal pay and all of this, but that doesn't negate the fact that we're also the only ones that can birth humans.
Yeah.
So let's like, to me it's almost like put women up on a higher pedestal because they're the ones that are keeping humanity going.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
So asking for the support, like, hey, people, like, so yeah.
I'm keeping the wall going for you. Do something
Exactly.
for yourself. No, that's very good. And to close on this topic from the mom side, there is a quote that I really love, and I think you will agree. It's from Jill Churchill. She says that there is no way to be a perfect mom, but a million ways to be a good one. And I think that's
Beautiful.
a really lovely one. And as you say, there is no perfect mom, there's no perfect child. It's just like figuring it out and doing your best.
Yeah. And being very open to communicating with yourself, your partner, and your child.
Yeah.
Your baby, even a newborn baby, knows what's going on,
Yes.
right? So talk to them, let them know how you're feeling, how you're seeing them feel, all of that. So important.
Yeah. I really love that you added that, because yes, in fact, it is very important, especially for the women who kind of struggle to position themselves as mom, because maybe there is something in the past that is holding them, and just communicating that with the baby that, hey, right now I have some issues, but I'm still here. I'm like, providing for you, and my love is like infinite for you. But really speaking that out, because the babies are like sponges with feelings. They feel everything and they understand everything. So if you don't communicate it, they don't know what's going on. And, they just arrive to the world, so they don't know how to treat that kind of information. So I love that you added that. Yes.
Yeah. And they feel it, even feel it prenatally. So,
Yes.
taking good care of yourself
while
you're creating this life is very, very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So let's move on to the partner's point of view. You were just touching on that. So because as you said, they can have a hard time, can be very complicated for them. Being the outsider during the pregnancy can be challenging too, because they don't go physically through the whole pregnancy. They don't feel internally the baby. And so they might have some different kind of perceptions, and a different bond with baby too. And it can be very, very intimidating when baby is finally here. Baby is so tiny, he looks so, fragile, and they don't want to touch it. I think it is very important to consider the partner's role to, from the get-go, during the pregnancy, but also during those first few days where, yes, the mother provides like most of it, but they have to position themselves too in the family. So can you talk to us a bit more about that, like about the challenges they can go through and some tips to help them?
So again, for me, going back to just that communication is from the beginning, like really start talking about what your expectations are as a parent. Like, what are some things in your childhood that you like or didn't like, or what are some things that you can't wait to share and some things you promise you'll never do, or, so because to me, when I always say, like, the only manual that we really have to parenting is our own childhood.
Yeah.
Is our own experience. So let's start talking about that. Let's communicate about that. To me, that's really important. And then one thing that, and I know it's not available in the US, but I wish it was, and I know we've had this conversation before, but aptonomy.
Yes.
Aptonomy is, when you look it up, it says it's the science of touch, but it's something that I experienced in my first pregnancy when I was in France with my husband. And it was something that I seeked out because it was a way to bring him in to what was going on in my body, right? And so aptonomy really helps the partner to have a way to communicate with the baby in utero, and also help the pregnant woman to kind of alleviate, and it's actually osteopaths that
Yes.
do aptonomy in France. And it was just the most beautiful experience, because it ended up that we had this ritual where every evening when I would lie down and be a little bit more relaxed, my husband, who was the father-to-be, would communicate with our unborn child. And when she was born, I promise you, it was his touch that would calm her. It was amazing. Like, they already had that bond because they had. So we don't have aptonomy here. So here for me, it would be just make it a daily ritual so that you spend some time talking to your unborn child. You spend some time just rubbing the tummy, and so that you start creating, read to them, sing to them, whatever your thing is, right? Because to me, I think it's really important for the parenting partner to create rituals that are going to be bonding. Because it's true that once the newborn is born, oftentimes if mom chooses to breastfeed, for example, she's the only one that can do that.
Yeah.
Unless, later on she pumps and daddy can do it and all this. So maybe the father can do the bath and do some little massages, give mom a break, read to them, go for walks, whatever. I mean, I've worked with many families, and the dads find their own thing. I had one dad, it was put the baby in the carrier and go walk on the beach with the dogs, and that was their thing in the morning. Gave mom an hour to herself. So things like that. So really, again, being okay. And I will say one thing though here is that I want mothers to be okay with that.
Yes. That's important. Yeah.
We tend to be a little, how do you say, protective. And sometimes we make dads feel like they can't do it. Yeah. And you know what? They're going to do it different than us, and that's okay. Yeah. Because the child needs the differences. So empower your partner to do it their way. And if they don't put the diaper on right, there's going to be a blowout once, and it's okay. They will learn. It's just, we tend to be a little controlling, I think, at the beginning. So take a deep breath and surrender, and let your partner establish that bonding ritual with them. Skin to skin, for example, even with the fathers is very important. We always talk about skin to skin with mom, but it's extremely important for the other partner as well. So things like that, and also going back to that communication, like try to have kind of a daily check-in of and I know it's not going to be for a long time, because there's things going on and there's a newborn asking for food or cuddles or something, but try as much as possible to say, how are you feeling? Is there something? Are things coming up? And all this, so that you can gauge and take the temperature, because it's really important if we see one of our partners kind of going down a darker side, to seek help, to seek support. Like, it's so important. When I was telling you about the warm line, like, I would get a lot of dads calling me, saying like, I'm worried. She's not herself. She's crying. All this. So be vigilant and really take the pulse continuously, and definitely get support.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good, because I mean, of course, there is a whole emphasis on the mother, and that's how it should be, anyways. But it's important to take the other partner into account, and because they are part of the picture too, and they can do so much, and they can go through so much too, because seeing the mom exhausted, maybe they didn't know about that, and they can worry, and so, as you say, I think it's going to be the theme for that episode: communication. It's really,
definitely
what it is.
Definitely. And I'll say one thing too, is at the beginning, we talk about sleep deprivation.
Yes.
And that can really be a big source of mental, wellness.
Yeah.
So I really, really encourage you to take turns filling up your sleep tank.
Yeah.
You do not need to both be exhausted.
Absolutely.
Take turns, and I feel like we see a lot of, both the parents are completely out of it, but you don't need to be. Like, again, communication, and say, tonight I really, need to sleep through the night. I'll pump a little bit, and you can wake up in the middle of the night, or, I'm fine feeding through the night, but, tomorrow morning, can you take the baby out for a walk or whatever? So again, being vigilant that we're not both going into that sleep deprivation, because then we cannot support each other, because we're both on edge and we get nowhere.
Yeah. And I will add to that, because I'm reading a very interesting book right now. It's called The Postnatal Depletion Cure, I believe.
Okay.
It's very, very, very interesting. And so the author is really speaking about sleep deprivation and how it can affect the health of the mother. So I think it is very important to take in account, even if, yes, you might be out of work for, a certain time, if you have the chance that in your state you have this time away from work, but still you need some sleep, because if you don't get enough sleep, you won't process the food the right way. So you might have a lower milk supply, and so you won't be able to provide for your kid, even though you don't decide to breastfeed. Not being able to process the food as you can make you like in the lower end of the energy. So you're always exhausted, and when you're always exhausted and you're not processing the food correctly, you can't think clearly too. So it's like really this kind of
it's a vicious circle, and you have to remember that sleep deprivation is a form of torture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we think of it that way, it's like, oh my gosh, to me, and I remember like my pediatrician telling me that sleep was actually more important than nutrition. Like, sleep was make that. And so, when we say sleep when baby sleeps, it's like, take it seriously.
Yeah, like, do it.
It's not because baby is going down for a nap that you need to start cleaning the house. Like, no. Yeah. Your sleep, your health is more important than anything else. Remember what we said at the beginning. Get your get your village to come help you and do the cleaning while you're napping too.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very good. All right. Thank you so much, Jeanne-Marie. It was
This has
very,
been a
very
pleasure.
interesting. It was a lot of valuable information. I love that. The bottom line is communicate. We said it many, many times, but it's not stressed enough. Yeah.
And ask yourself, what do I need right now?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. You are the center of the story, and really taking it in account, definitely.
Yes.
Because that's the thing too. When a mother become a mom, like let's say, I know that we become a mom from the pregnancy, but when baby is here, there is like a social shift of the attention to the baby. And I remember even when I was doing my studies at my osteopathic school, I did my thesis on pregnancy because I wanted to, and really postpartum, because I wanted to really shift that the mom needs as much as attention, during those first few days of postpartum as she had during her whole pregnancy. And we tend to forget that because, when you're pregnant, you're the star of the movie, right? But once baby is here, you're like in the back corner kind of, because baby is the star of the movie now. And that can be hard. But so mom need to remind themselves that they are still in the movie and they are still the co-star with baby, because they burst. So you're a superwoman when you do that.
And this is probably a whole other conversation, but also to just remember that you're a human being. Like you also are a woman that has, that has passions, that has things that, yes, they might take a pause for a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you need to lose yourself in motherhood. So, that's a whole other thing, but and I think it comes back to that initial question of, what do I need right now? So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you enough. And I know the audience will be delighted with all the clarity and answers you gave us today. I'm very, very grateful for that episode. So thank you again. And I really appreciate you coming to the show. So, and just remind us where people can find you online.
So my website is yourparentingmentor.com. Yourparentingmentor.com, all one word. My podcast is The Art of Parenting. And I'm mostly on Instagram under my name, Jeanne-Marie Paynel.
All right. Perfect. Go check it out. All right. Thank you, Jeanne-Marie. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.